Alright, what is up everybody? Welcome back. I need to talk about Gears of War. I'm a long-time Gears fan, and I've been a fan of this franchise since day one, and I need to make this video because I'm f***ing pissed. Gears of War Reloaded is about to drop on the PlayStation 5, and I'm here to tell you why this is straight up bullshit. If you're excited for this garbage, then you need to seek help. This shouldn't be happening. This is terrible for the Xbox brand, and a stab in the back to every fan of this franchise. Whoever thought giving up Gears of War, one of the biggest titles on the Xbox system, to PlayStation was a good idea? You need to be fired right now. Which asshole signed off on this very stupid idea? That's a genuine question, because this game, Gears of War, right next to Halo, were cultural phenoms that defined a whole generation, basically put Xbox on the map. And now Microsoft's giving it away to Sony like it's nothing. And we've all seen them toy around with the idea of giving Halo to PlayStation, and this couldn't be seen as anything but franchise suicide. For Xbox and Microsoft, giving away your biggest IPs makes zero sense. And you're doing it for what? Selling more copies to access that broader audience? Are you fucking stupid? So you're going to completely destroy brand integrity and piss off the fans of these games for short-term profits? Again, this is insanely stupid. So I'll be tearing this game down and explaining why this is a very catastrophic disaster for the future of Xbox, and then take a look at the people behind this complete retard move here, both in and around this studio, the Coalition, because there's no other way to describe what's happening here other than a lazy betrayal, a cash grab. If you've been a fan of these games, if you've been a loyal subscriber to the Xbox platform, you're basically getting shafted by Microsoft. But let's talk about the fans for a minute.
We, you and I.
We've been with Gears of War for basically 20 years. In fact, the only reason you're probably still subscribed to the Xbox is because in some weird, sick way, you're trying to honor the legacy of these games. We bought the consoles, the controllers, the merchandise, because we believed in these exclusives. We stuck around through the Red Ring of Death. We saved up our hard-earned cash to put into these projects, and we invested a ton of time into these games. And what do we get in return for being loyal Xbox subscribers and fans of these franchises for basically 2 decades? A knife in the fucking back. Like our loyalty means nothing. Gears of War is a legend. If you played this game back in 2006 when it launched on the 360, you'd know it was a game changer. Gritty, visceral, cinematic. It showed the world what Unreal Engine was capable of and demonstrated the power of the Xbox system. The RAM on the 360 had to be increased specifically for this game. Alongside Halo, it was the spearhead of Microsoft's console war assault on Sony's PlayStation. These were again cultural phenoms, and these giants changed the entire gaming landscape. Gears of War sold millions, spawned in comics, merchandise, and a whole trilogy of epic games under Epic Games. Its intense camera work and cinematics, cover-based system, hyper-masculine focus, and that iconic chainsaw lancer. This was Xbox's identity. Raw, unapologetic, masculine, and exclusive. And again, if you grew up playing Gears of War in the 360 era, you'd know that the console wars were just as brutal as these games were. Both Xbox and PlayStation communities were basically incompatible and often engaged in hostile debates which would center on the console's performance to its exclusive games. And more often than not, Halo and Gears would come out on top, whilst the PlayStation offered its own exclusive games like SOCOM, Killzone, MAG, Resistance, Uncharted, and The Last of Us. These games, for the most part, failed to compete with the legacy of Gears of War and Halo. Exclusive bangers were the reason you brought a 360 over the PlayStation 3. Xbox delivered bigger and better experiences you couldn't get anywhere else, and giving Gears of War to PlayStation now is like handing your enemy your best weapon. Although technically it's only that ugly remastered Ultimate Edition, it still opens up the door to the terrible possibility of porting over the originals. And this is just completely unacceptable. a betrayal to longtime fans. Again, whoever thought giving up Gears of War to the PlayStation is a fucking idiot that needs to be fired. So, let's talk about what Gears of War Reloaded is and why it sucks. This game, I initially thought was a collection of all 3 of the first Gears games, which would basically be a collection of games, like a quadrilogy, exactly like the MCC.
Exactly as it shipped 10 years ago.
This would only make perfect sense, and I wouldn't have a problem with this if it was exclusive to the Xbox and PC. But instead, what we got was a complete betrayal, and we're going to touch on this in a moment. It turns out these people are so incompetent and so fucking lazy that the best they could even do was literally recycle their first remastered game, Gears of War Ultimate Edition. That's right.
Hello and welcome to the official Xbox podcast, the only podcast coming to you from inside Xbox. I'm Lena, and joining me as I take over his usual spot, sorry about stealing your seat, is Jeff.
I warmed it up for you.
Yeah.
Everyone loves sitting on a warm chair.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Jeff. You can not do that next time. That's cool.
Yeah. Joining us today, besides Marcus Phoenix, which I'm very glad to have here, is a couple of folks that Mike Rump and Kate Rayner. Thanks for joining us here in the studio for the first time.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Do you want to tell us about like what you do at the Coalition, since you all have been there since it was become called the Coalition?
Nothing. Fucking nothing.
Sure, yeah. So I'm the studio head of the Coalition. That basically means I'm responsible for everything that happens in the studio, everything to do with Gears of War. I've been at the studio for 15 years now, which is pretty hard to believe. And yeah, long before it was actually even called the Coalition. Yeah.
I'm the studio technical director at the Coalition. I oversee all the engineering, all of the technical implementation of all of our games. I've been also with the Coalition for a long time, 14 years, not quite 15, but through all the work that we've done with the Gears franchise at the Coalition, and I've been in this industry for almost 30 years.
Yeah, that's right. Gears is going multi-platform for the first time. So of course Xbox and PC, but PlayStation 5 for the first time. That's super exciting for us.
And Steam as well.
And Steam.
That's right.
Sounds like this will be a definitive version of the original game. So let's dig into that. Is it a remake or a remaster?
Or full credit to Jake Baldino of Game Ranks, is it a remakester as he used for Oblivion?
Right. Well, it's fully remastered and enhanced to take advantage of modern hardware. Going back to the original, we've increased the resolution by 900%, 9x, and doubled the frame rate. Campaign running at 60 frames per second now, and multiplayer supporting 60 as well as 120 frames per second. We support variable refresh rate. We support native high dynamic range lighting. And we've also unlocked 4K assets and ultra-resolution textures that were not in the original console versions of the game. We have 7.1.4 3D spatial audio, and we've improved the lighting, the shadows, and reflections, and really have pushed the quality of this title to be a full remaster on every device that it's shipping on.
It's like a checklist of things that did not exist in 2006
Yeah,
that
exactly,
like a modern
exactly.
game needs to have, and now Gears of War Original gets to have that.
Absolutely.
What are we looking at here? We have, we're going back 20 years pretty much.
That's
here,
right. Yeah. I mean, you can see here this is Embry. It's early on in the first act. You can see, the 1280, 720, 30 frames per second version that shipped in on the Xbox 360, the 1080p version for Xbox One with Gears of War Ultimate Edition. And then we have the reloaded version, running at full 4K with 60 frames per second. And you can see a lot of detail here from the enhancements.
On 360, and we love 360. It's funny how, like, when you look back at this, like when I look at the reloaded version, it's like, that's what the games always look like, right? But then when
This game, Gears of War Reloaded, is literally a report of a remaster they already made 10 years ago. They have done no real work here. They're basically trying to resell the same game we got a fucking decade ago, but this time breaking its exclusive barriers and prostituting it out to PlayStation. This is breathtaking stupidity and shocking incompetence. As a thank you for being a Gears fan, we're offering owners of Gears of War Ultimate Edition Digital a free code for Gears of War Reloaded, playable on Xbox Series X and PC. Well, sorry, but you seem to have forgotten to mention that this is also releasing on the fucking PlayStation. All they've done here is upscale textures to 4K. Lighting's still the same. It still has the same blocky, goofy-ass character models. It's basically the same game running at 4K 60 FPS. The game is still an awkward, buggy mess with hit registration issues, movement problems, and virtually no adjustments to the multiplayer experience, meaning no PvE modes. Expecting a 2-decade-old formula to hold up and entertain the most retarded, low-IQ audience on the planet, these PlayStation fans. And it's just not going to work. They're going to play this, dip into the multiplayer, and move on. Which is the most frustrating part about all of this, is that you're selling to our rival console, an audience who didn't earn this, who practically hated this game back when it released out of straight envy. This is what Gears of War Reloaded is. A downgraded port to the PlayStation for a quick cash grab. And don't be fooled, this isn't some genius plan to make more money to support the development of their next piece of shit Gears game, E-Day. And I'm gonna break this shit down in another video. These people have the funds. They're backed by Microsoft, a multi-trillion-dollar company. Funding is basically infinite, and you best not port the originals over to that piece of shit console either, because I'm about to cancel my subscription to this bullshit service. What you've done and are doing to our legacy games is a fucking betrayal. It doesn't matter how many passive-aggressive layoffs you try and get away with to scare these incompetent devs into doing some real work. They can't do it. They cannot match the quality of the patriarchal systems we had before this progressive joke. So we get these failed projects and dumb ideas like giving one of our biggest exclusives to PlayStation, but more on that in a moment. So what exactly makes Gears Reloaded special? What's the difference? Well, aside from the 4K upscale, the cover art looks significantly worse. If we compare the two for a second, it looks like they've just positioned a 3D model of Marcus Phoenix and just rendered it rather than the epic concept art we see in the original. Just look at the difference. I've studied these images for about 10 to 20 minutes, and the amount of detail lost in translation is fucking incredible. Look at this. What the fuck am I looking at? His shoulder is completely missing. His face, his do-rag, everything looks worse. Ew! You have to be autistic to pass this off as better than what we were getting. They've replaced Carmine with Beard and Cole for some reason, which look equally bad. The accents on Phoenix's armor are missing, and the armor looks worse. Marcus Phoenix looks visually tired, both in appearance and in body posture. He's hunched over, lethargic, slumped, where Marcus looks so much more fucking badass. In the original, his shoulders are rolled back, chest outwards. There's more definition in his arms. Look at the silhouette. These very subtle changes make all the difference between a heroic badass compared to the goblin on the right. You're like, what are we doing here? You see what I mean? Everything looks glossy, literally because they've placed a 3D model on screen and rendered it compared to the amazing. I don't even know how they did the original. Is this concept art? The attention to detail? The original Gears of War was just a fucking masterpiece. And this is why I hated the Ultimate Edition, because you can see it in some of the other screenshots by comparison. Everything, the lighting, the scenery, the character models, it looks like toys. Everything looks horrible. And if you hadn't noticed, I covered Halo Infinite quite a bit. It's going through the same bullshit. They're just remaking content, predicating on Bungie's work from the past. And again, everything looks worse, like plastic in most cases, compared to what we were getting in 2007. And this should be a criminal offense. I'd show you the cover art for the Xbox version of the game, but Microsoft decided not to invest in a physical version for the Xbox for some dumb reason, even though it's the primary platform of this game, and they can't invest in a physical version because what the fuck are we doing here? In terms of gameplay, it's exactly the same game. Nothing, literally nothing has changed here. But one major difference is that the game is running at native 60 FPS in campaign. And if you play the originals, you'd know why the devs kept the game running at 30 FPS in the originals and the Ultimate Edition campaign, because when it's running at 60, it looks like silky, buttery smooth shit. It's a stark difference that makes Gears of War feel modern. It might work for Gears 5 and all these modern takes, but it doesn't work for the originals. It feels disconnected from the tone that these games were trying to go for, the gritty, gothic, dark, industrial war machine feeling, and the 60 FPS dilutes that feeling to suit this modern take just for the sake of checking improvement boxes, because this piece of shit really has nothing else to offer.
Well guys, it's official. Halo is moving over to PlayStation.
It only makes sense that Halo makes its way to PlayStation now. There's been so many rumors.
It makes more sense to give PlayStation fans the beginning of the Halo series
To judge about when this historic franchise will make the leap over to the other platform.
But for Halo, the franchise, I think nothing could be better.
Hey! Shut the fuck up!
So now I couldn't tell you how many times I've seen these page shills online try to dictate Halo also needs to be sacrificed to the PlayStation. And these people are obviously compromised. They have no business trying to dictate the direction of these games because they're all emotionally unstable children. They honestly need to get a real job at this point because they're just contributing to the oversaturation of these games and the death of the legacy of these games. They're just milking these franchises. These people have basically formed a cabal with the liberal developers in these studios, and they all echo the same progressive talking points. Diversity might be the prime example, and because of this worldview, they think we must all share our exclusives in order to diversify, be inclusive, and reach this mythical broader audience we keep hearing about. All to boost player count on legacy games they've hijacked, pushed the core fans away because they've ruined these games. So they need to import players from other systems. This is foolishly dumb, and I'm getting real sick of these idiot retards in this space.
Mellow greetings. What seems to be your boggle?
My boggle?
It's pretty obvious at this point that the entire gaming landscape is basically captured by progressives, the most retarded people on earth, with their pronouns and shit, who think they know what's best for business, but can't seem to produce anything original or anything of high quality in over a fucking decade. This isn't just exclusive to gaming either. This goes way beyond gaming. Actually, into every other sector they take over, whether it's film, creative art, architecture, the military, our government, our fucking fire departments, or the Secret Service. They constantly break shit. They cannot create. Whatever they do create is fucking ugly.
It's not a tumor. It's not a tumor.
And they're constantly failing. In fact, all they do is champion diversity at the fucking expense of qualified men, and nothing gets done. And you'd be living under a rock if you hadn't noticed that the coalition and all these studios under Xbox and Microsoft are hell-bent on pushing this progressive mantra. So again, I need to hammer this home. Who the fuck is responsible for sharing Gears with PlayStation? Who gave this the green light? Was it Sarah Bond, president of Xbox, who thought it was acceptable to make your biggest mascot, the Master Chief, look like an emasculate bitch?
I want to start talking about the industry in general. You and Microsoft Games CEO Phil Spencer have been raising kind of the alarm that the video game industry is just not growing, and there's a real need to figure out how to reverse that. What's causing the issue, and how does Xbox turn it around?
Yeah, you know, the last year or so in video games, largely the industry's been flat. And you know, a lot of that's related to our need to bring new players in, make gaming more accessible, but all of that has been happening at the same time that the cost associated with making these beautiful AAA blockbuster games is going up, and the time it takes to make them is going up.
To Xbox gamers and to employees is that, you know, one of the shuttered studios in particular just created a hit game, did really well on Game Pass in terms of engagement, and won a ton of awards. Shouldn't succeeding in that way ensure the future of a studio?
You know, one of the things I really love about the games industry is it's a creative art form. And it means that the situation and
Was it Matt Booty, head of Xbox Game Studios, the man who obviously knows the gaming sphere was overrun in the last decade?
It's a reflection of a thing. I think something that's very different today than 5 or 10 years ago in the industry of just
no shit. Or was it Phil Spencer, CEO of Microsoft Gaming, the guy who hinted at sharing exclusives with our rival console in the future, the man who handed Bonnie Ross the keys to the Halo franchise, which she subsequently destroyed?
Thank you to Phil Spencer, Shane Kim, and Matt Booty for having faith in me.
We also saw the news about PlayStation as well, which is really cool. I'm really interested in that. So I want to know how this connects back to Xbox's perspective on how and when this approach happens to other titles.
Going to the PlayStation announcement, obviously last spring, we launched 4 games, 2 of them on the Switch, 4 of them on PlayStation, and we said we're going to learn. We said we'd watch, and I think at Showcase I might have said from our learning we're going to do more. What I see when I look is our franchises are getting stronger. Our Xbox console players are as high this year as they've ever been.
Are all Xbox games going to PlayStation someday, or will there still be exclusives? How are those red lines looking these days?
We are finding that our games shipping on multiple platforms is a good thing for Xbox. It makes Xbox stronger.
All prominent roles, all likely involved in the decision-making process. People who are clearly progressive in nature, pushing DEI into their studios at the cost of the game itself. Because these people you're getting in these studios are all left-leaning retards. This progressive system cannot coexist with or shepherd these once masculine titles forward. It's not happening. It's impossible. They don't know what masculinity is. Their feeble minds reject strong male figures, so they need to keep emasculating our male figures like what they did to our boy the Master Chief. They tried it with Star Wars, and look what happened. The Force is female, my arse. You're trying to navigate through extremely complex AAA projects whilst simultaneously trying to enforce DEI policies to accommodate for neurodivergent individuals and build spaces exclusively focused on hiring women. You finally end up with a broken workforce that lack the skills and cohesion necessary to successfully produce these projects, so you end up with failed exclusive titles producing cardboard-looking games. Thus, we have the decline of our legacy games, Gears of War and Halo. So this is just an overall bad deal for Xbox. I know the shills will come up with bullshit like, hey, you're boosting players, or this opens up Gears to a whole new audience and more Gears tattoos, says Cliff Blazinski, who's probably running out of money right now.
Like, screw it, we're going to be on everything. And, step 3, profit, right?
Yeah. Well, Trophy Room asks a question. They're a PlayStation podcast, one of the best out there. They say, how would you feel seeing Gears in the form of a collection or whatnot on PlayStation? Does it bother you in any way to see it on another platform, or is it more celebratory that more people?
I don't see why it would bother me. I mean, the more the merrier. The more people who play the experience that we work so hard on that get to enjoy it, become fans, the better. Maybe you'll get some PlayStation fans that get Gears of War tattoos because Gears of War tattoos became a big thing. And it's one of those things that I just think we're in the era of, eyeballs equals money.
Trophy Room, many others saying that they are on Xbox because of Gears of War. So you did something special with that, for sure.
Well, that was the goal, was Microsoft, didn't have a Halo at the time. Halo was kind of the flagship franchise for Xbox. And Microsoft came to us, we had Unreal Engine 3 coming online, and they're like, hey, do you have something for us? And I was like, we just might. And a lot of people bought an Xbox 360 because of Gears. Halo Remaster is going to be on the new PlayStation, right? Like, it's crazy to think about, like, how the whole console wars thing is over. I think, like, when I saw Sonic and Mario together in a game, I was like, oh my God, my childhood is either like destroyed or improved. I don't know. I'm confused.
This is a terrible business decision and seriously harms the Xbox longevity. Why would anyone purchase this system over the PlayStation when they get none of their exclusives? It makes 0 sense. In fact, all the Xbox brand gets out of this deal is erosion of brand identity, reduced incentive to purchase Xbox hardware, fan base disillusionment and loss of trust, perception of Xbox as a declining hardware platform, weakened Game Pass value proposition, console war ammunition for competitors, and the risk of further exclusivity losses. I personally didn't know these people could be so fucking stupid. I'm sorry, if you own a PlayStation, you're fucking dumb. That giant block of shit. Oh, but the PlayStation is dominating Xbox in sales. Yes, Unfortunately, the West is filled with a ton of low IQ dumb fucks. You're buying a tanked out system almost twice as big as the Xbox Series X with no backwards compatibility. So, why is this happening? This is the ugly truth, isn't it? What we're seeing is a generation of people taking over franchises they know nothing about. These new developers and executives don't get Gears of War. They don't understand its gritty, testosterone, masculine roots, because these are traits that don't resonate with these weak people. They're making drastic changes to chase trends and appeal to a crowd that never cared about Gears in the first place. In fact, they wanted this franchise dead. I mean, look at the evidence. Gears 5 was already pushing this inclusive narrative with Kate Diaz, who makes every male in the game look like a subordinate. This basically alienated most of your male demographic.
This isn't about you, it's about me.
So this whole thing reeks of idiot people who don't respect the franchise history, who see it as just another IP to milk, and when you let people who don't love the franchise steer the ship, you end up in situations like this, handing Gears to Sony, dividing your fan base, killing what made it special. You think I want to see headlines like Microsoft hates its Xbox owners? What the hell are you doing to your customers? You're pushing them away. And this is exactly what the Halo franchise needs to learn from. To stay away from this scenario exactly right here. Which means you need to gut your entire studios and step away from this progressive environment. It's time to wake up. This progressive direction is torching your legacy. You go woke, you go broke. This shit doesn't have any business navigating these franchises forward. So here we are. Gears of War on PlayStation. It's more than a game. It's the end of the fucking Xbox. This franchise, this Xbox Titan, was a symbol of what made our brand great, exclusive, bold, and unforgettable. By giving it to Sony, Microsoft's betrayed its fans and killed brand exclusivity and let outsiders ruin a cultural icon. The console wars we fought so hard in, they're over, and Xbox is waving the white flag. Gears was our pride, our brotherhood, our game. Now it's just a multi-platform cash grab son of a bitch. And again, if you're excited for this trash, you need to seek help. If you buy this garbage, you are part of the problem.